This conference will now be recorded.
How you doing?
All right, call the meeting to order.
Yeah, I gotta loosen myself up with that. I figured have some fun with it.
Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What is being gathered in this day to do the important business for the people of the village of Owego, grant us wisdom, compassion, and understanding. Amen. All right, as always, first topic is public comment. Okay.
And we're all looking at you, Mike.
So then we'll skip to, right, maybe at the end. So then we'll skip over to DRI sign project update. Let me share my screen on the recording here, so that it gets recorded. And I'll pull it up here. No, you have it.
This is for distance.
So, it's your guys' show.
I mean, take it away.
Okay.
Do you want an introduction?
I got to introduce myself.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Connor with ID Science, Vice President of Sales and Project Management. We've been working with Rebecca and the DRY project since January. I think that's when we officially started. We were tasked with a two-part system. Part one is just about complete, where we were tasked with developing a new logo and brand for the village. We've completed that process, which is kind of I wanted to touch base with you on, and just kind of walk you through our next step, where we are in the project, and what's to be happening moving forward, and see if you guys have any questions that I can answer for you. Essentially, the project is, if you pop through to the next page or page 2 of your pamphlet, we're focused predominantly with our piece of this project within the dotted lines, within the DRI zone. That entails us predominantly focused on the downtown area, where we're going to be creating new signage from everything from gateways, trail, informational signage, soft signage such as banners. There'll be pedestrian wayfinding, better directionals for parking and vehicular traffic. A big piece of what we're going to be in this next part of what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing all the code issues, especially related to DOT, making sure that all the signage, especially coming across the bridge on 96, is compliant with DOT standards. A lot of the signs that we have right now that are designated for the village do not meet any kind of DOT standards whatsoever. From legibility, materials, high reflective. So that's part of what we're actually moving into now with the design phase. But from a logo standpoint, if you flip to the next page, you'll see the shield, as we call it. This was the final logo that was voted on everybody through. We got here through multiple surveys, informational packs, questionnaires. Sorry, pretty sticky. No problem. In meetings over the last 8 months, really. It's been gone through a couple revisions, and this is the final walkthrough. So this is the overall black and white logo. If you flip to the next page, you'll actually see some of the references that brings it into what are the points that we use to get to our logo. Obviously, the courthouse is a big part of it, the river bridge, tying in the historical elements of the railroad station. Those are all the aspects that have come to fit into developing the logo and the brand. The next page is kind of what you would see if you're going to put it into a knockout version, if you're going to put it into a window, right? You can see what it would look like on a frosted piece of vinyl on a window. From there, we're going to flip into, this is our actual color palette. Again, these colors have all gone through multiple focus groups, questionnaires, meetings, revisions, and this is the final color scheme that we've kind of landed on, which I feel really highlights where Owego is today, where Owego is in the past, and where it's going. So we're really excited about the color scheme, really excited about the brand and the logo. What we're actually in the process of doing right now is we're actually in the sign family design. So we're designing every piece of signage from when we get off the highway to when we're literally walking a trail in the parks. Everything from badges, informational, how to get from A to B. We're working conjointly with Hunt Engineering to help them on other projects that are actually outside our scope, but since we're designing everything, we're focused on designing the signs for parking lot signs. We got Marvin Park, Art Park, Waterfront Park, so we're gonna be helping develop all the signage that'll be going out for all those other projects as well. The sign family should be done by the end of this month. From there, we're gonna budget everything. And then we're gonna be sitting down and kind of having a wish list or a pick list of what we're gonna put through under the DYR's funding, what their piece of the pie will cover. And then there'll be additional signage, like I said, like the parking lots, for example, we can keep it out of the DRY funding because that is getting covered by another piece of the budget, right? So it allows more signage across the village, which will impact, everybody seeing and understanding that brand, how it's being used. Fabrication will be starting in January. We should be done by the end of March with all the fabrication, right about the time that we can start playing in the dirt. And then we will be removing all existing signage, replacing with all the new signage, with the goal of being done by June 1 with that piece. So we're on a pretty aggressive schedule, but I think we've held to it so far, kind of just clicking through. So we want to just kind of meet with you guys and give you a standpoint of where we were. I know Ron's kind of been updating you through the last few months and how things have gone. But I also want to give you guys an opportunity to ask us any questions you may have. We look at this as, the report that we're creating is really for you guys, right? We're doing a detailed survey of the entire village and town. We're going to be recommending best practices of signage. We really should have this type of sign here. You really don't need this type of sign there. So it really becomes a much more uniform and concise look across the entire village, and everything is matching up. So you're not getting a mismatch of different signs, different types. The family will blend the DOT signage, which will be giving basic directionals with everything down to the parks, right? They're all going to have common themes and common elements, so it's going to look like one nice uniform system. And that's a laundry list that you guys can order from 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So you can consistently go back. We can consistently help you with updated pricing and budgeting as you're applying for new grants and funding. So that list is always there for you guys, as well as all the construction details you'll have if you have to put things up to bid as well. So.
Does this include like street signs, like names of streets?
Not necessarily names of streets. No, that's still gonna be up to you guys. But we will be designing a street sign type, that if you want to change it, you know, that's something that you can do down the road.
Yeah, I can see where that would be helpful, like in the business area, you know, downtown, sort of having a similar signage.
Well, and so, just some things to keep in mind and why we're working with Hunt too is like this project, we have a finite amount of money for it, obviously. So even though, IDS is going to be creating a plan that has like all the signage, branding signage that we want, we're not gonna be able to pay for all of it through our office. So it's a steering committee, so, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but we kind of really said with, the funds that we have through Tioga County Tourism, it's really pedestrian wayfinding and possibly like parking and vehicular, like just moving people around. So it's easier for visitors to navigate. So that's kind of what we're prioritizing, and then there will be plans for parking signs, and I think there's like a budget for parking in the parking project, you know, so there will be, so for that plan, you guys don't, and Hunt doesn't have to go out and get an additional designer to do those. That will be done already. So it'll be hopefully easier to implement signage in those, in like Marvin Park and the Art Park and that kind of thing.
They do fit the MWB standard.
Mhm.
Does a nice polish for some of the other products.
Now, what kind of material is it made of?
It's gonna vary depending on the sign. I mean, obviously, like banners and things are gonna be, fabric type banner system. We get into pedestrian wayfinders. Everything will basically be aluminum, it'll be powder coated graphics. DOT signage, they have very specific, rules that we have to follow. If it's anything within the right of way, it's gotta be on galvanized breakaways. You know, aluminum C brackets, but, so it all kind of depends on where the sign is going, how the sign is meant to be used, so.
So, as the background color, is that optional? I mean, I kind of like the dark background with the white.
It's gonna be a little bit of a mixture. It'll be a little bit of a mixture depending on where the sign is going, what we're doing with it, right? So,
I mean, really, we're gonna use that like palette for whatever's most effective on that particular sign in that particular area.
Is that the final, design?
yes,
It is. So nobody thought that portion there that looks like the river under the bridge,
yes.
you know, if you flip that around the other way, it looks like the town is smiling at you. You know, you got a subliminal thought that the town is a happy place. You know, like Baskin Robbins, you look at it, you got 31 in the sign, or the arrow in FedEx. I mean, I miss my calling on Madison Avenue.
White mustache, right?
It looks like the Pringles guy.
Sorry. Good
That's why we have Charles Brown.
Could you give a little insight into what the numbers are on that map? Like the 5C, 4A, what that means as far as to the people on the board? Because I know what it means, but
DRA project, I think.
This is actually your map. So
Yeah,
you
so
have access better to
this
those.
map is actually like this is not kind of indicative of where signs are gonna go. So this map is, where DRI projects were. So what IDS is doing, it's really kind of cool, and we can share that with you too, but it's almost like an interactive map, and you saw it, Ron, where you can go in and click on a plot point, and it'll show you a picture, and you can, you know, we're all gonna kind of like give input and make comments and that kind of thing. So this is not where signs are going to go. That is still in the works. And Connor's actually been like boots on the ground walking around Owego, taking pictures and kind of figuring out where different signs are going to go. And if I'm I think I'm correct about this, if I'm not, let me know, but, I think there's also gonna be able to be renderings on those
Right.
plot points. So at some point, we'll be able to look at that digital map and see what kind of signs are going to go where.
So, yeah, so actually what we do is we actually use a cloud-based system. So we've loaded the maps of the village into it. And Rebecca's right, it literally is me walking around and photographing every existing piece of signage that you have, multiple directions, multiple angles, setting a GeoC plot point. And then from there, we'll actually, we kind of we do a review of, like I said, best practice. Like this is, you don't need a sign here, but we need it here. How do you get from, if you just think about like when you come across 96, right? So you're gonna have, as you're coming up along the courtyard, you're gonna have your first initial sign for parking, right? And then you get to the light and you have an option. You can go, we're gonna have a sign going parking right, you're gonna have a sign going parking left, bring them around the corner and park, so that's kind of where we do, like, how do we get somebody from A to B, right? And then once that's set, we'll actually, in that, we set a physical rendering of every sign location and type, and that's in your final report. So even if you don't necessarily choose, say, sign G for this phase, you can go back and see on your report that you guys will have digitally, you can actually see, okay, well, sign G was recommended, and that's where we want to put it now, right? The other thing that will happen is through this process, because this inevitably happens with every town or city we work with, college campus, we put up a brand new sign, somebody smashes into it. So, and then everybody's like, oh my God, what did it cost? So every sign is gonna have a breakdown of replacement costs, value, so that, you guys can go to their insurance company, however that is, and there's an amount you can have to pay for it. Or DPW can say, oh geez, I wanna get, 5 more park signs, they can pull up our list, say this is what they are, we can order them directly, or he can actually go to the drawings and send them out for bid. So it's really up to you guys wherever that piece of the pie works. So that complete report will be available at the end, which will have it's basically, really, it's like think about it, like it's a big shopping list for you guys for current and for the future. And it's a real tool for you guys to use.
Now, once we've set up the signage, could we have something on the village website for wayfinding? Can we?
From, yeah, I mean, those are all the things that we're talking about. I mean, we can add QR codes, we can add geopoint links.
Uh-huh.
So if somebody on the website, you could actually have a walking map, they can have it on their phone. If we're here, you get to X.
And so our office has an app that we can do that with, and so we're trying to develop like itineraries and things like that. I mean, it takes some time, but yes, we can do that through our office, and then you can just have a link to our website, and also, then it will also link to the app as well. So, yeah.
Will we be able to get the logos like for our website and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's going through our office, but obviously the village can access all of
Right.
everything.
And one of the
that we
things
have.
that gets into the background is, part of this is that, it's kind of deep diving it, but the level of what we're doing is we're actually trademarking the logo, we're trademarking, the tagline for you guys, so nobody else can use it, like it's yours.
Good. That's the question I had. Who's gonna own the logos?
Those are your guys's.
So, and that's something like we can maybe talk about offline a little bit, because technically I think my office owns the logos, but I would obviously like the village to own that.
Right.
It's just the financial part of it, and because it's getting paid for through our office.
Right.
But, I think we just need to figure out the legalities of that, because it doesn't need to be at a county office, it needs to be with the village, so we'll figure that part of it out.
But that's part of our due diligence of just going through and, there's been a lot of things that we, initially through the steering committee, like gateway to the Finger Lakes and all these phrases that we wanted to avoid because other people use them, right? We want a clean slate for you guys.
Is there anything you needed from us tonight?
No, just to make sure that, like, you're okay with the direction we're headed in. I do think, and I don't know if you agree at this point, maybe, Fred, we can get you involved in the just design. Well, I'm just thinking with like when we're talking about where to put signs, then we need
Are
to.
you over here at the county?
No, I'm at the Gateway Building on Front Street. The new, the building that filled in the hole, so, yeah, I'll give you a call, but I think
You have
as
my number?
it's public, so.
No, I hope that ain't public. What
Cell-
time is
cell
it
number.
public? No, I'm
Oh,
in my personal.
no, I will take that if you don't mind.
No, 372?
Keep the door open, people.
I don't care. Enough people call as it is now, 370-0220.
0220. Okay, so yeah, as we're like working on that actual, because there are things, and we talked about this too, like how can we maximize, what the village resources are versus like the amount of money we have, because for this entire project, we only have like $325,000.
You got more than village does already.
Well, yeah, I get that, but maybe we can get some in kind on that, but, using existing posts and things like that, I just think we need to kind of just start keeping everybody in the loop for that kind of
Okay,
thing,
yeah.
if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, and
Yeah,
that's one of the
trouble
reasons
now.
why we're working closely with Hunt too, because, if there's budget already allocated for the parking lot signs, right? Then we don't have to use the DRY funding for that, right? So it's trying to get the maximum dollars in signage and as much as we can in the beginning. I mean, there's always gonna be this continual carryover and rollover as things get replaced.
I'll tell you one thing, no, we ain't walking the streets, we're riding the gators.
I think once they finish, I'll have the surveys done, probably before Thanksgiving. And we can share those with you, and then we can start reviewing and how we get them.
Sure.
Yeah, I think like with all the different projects, once we have that like plan visually that we can see, we can say, all right, we can take this group of signage out of this pot of money and this group of signage out of this, and really a lot of that is gonna be up to you, like what is most important to the village.
And really too, it's gonna be key, Fred, when we get down to putting stuff in the ground, right? So, for example, if we need to rip out a sidewalk to put in, a foundation and a post, we're gonna be replacing sidewalk. Well, is there additional sidewalk money there? We've got somebody doing the sidewalk, I mean, it's what we do, right? I mean, I can contract out, through my suppliers to cover a bigger section, so, and, what's underneath the ground, which is in a historical town. It'll be fun.
You hit anything, I'm leaving.
Lots of brick.
I was doing a project in Jamestown, and we ripped out the existing sidewalk, and we're going down. We literally, in one area, we hit the foundation of an old building, foundation floor. And then,
It's very possible.
and then in another section, we literally hit a wall of a building that had just been, I mean, so, we kept joking we were gonna find Hoffa out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're going with this. There's a lot of walls in Binghamton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I mean, that's where, especially we'll work in here when it comes down to that.
Yeah. We were good.
We
You
start,
might find bones around the courthouse there.
Franny.
Is there one?
Take a nap, Franny, we don't want to find bones.
no, we don't
There
want
was
to
a
find bones.
No, we do not want to find bones.
They're all chicken bones if we find
That's
them.
right, that's what I'm talking about. I know nothing.
That's a drumstick.
Okay.
It looks like somebody's KFC. There you go.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said you were gonna, trademark the logo, and then one other thing, was that a quote,
The tagline.
the tagline? And what's the tagline? Is that the supporting quote, or what was
We
the?
actually do not have that yet, and we'll talk about that later. There's been a couple that have been kicked around. I think for the signage that we're gonna prioritize, we're not gonna do a tagline on those. It'll be more for interpretive signs, and I think we're gonna do like our established date instead. Because some of like the Gateway to the Finger Lakes was one, Built on Happening Now, which is HOM's tagline is one, and I don't think we want to be married to a tagline for the kind of signs we're going to be putting in first. So I like just doing like the established, and it's a nod to our history too.
And part of that too is what we do is the report that we're going to give you guys is going to give you the typeset and topography for all your departments, for your letterheads. This is how you set up a business card. This is how you set up a brochure. This is how you set up your website. So every piece of information that's going out is consistent and looks the same, right? And it's only on the very extreme side are those rules broken, right? And it's constant pushing the brand and the logo over, so it's all consistent. It doesn't matter if DPW is sending something out or a park is sending something out, that it's all looking consistent and the same.
Would we be giving up our logo with the Indian, or?
Yeah, but this will replace it.
And that's something else to kind of think about too, is that, you know, when we do have these signs, like is it something that, you know, we want to do like a launch as the village? It's just something for you guys to kind of think about at this point, as well. And it doesn't have to be that way, but if it's gonna be on signs, people are gonna notice, you know, so we just have to be considerate of what the community is gonna think about everything too, and how you do wanna use it. So you have all the tools to make everything consistent, like Connor was saying with business cards and whatever, if you choose to use that as the village, that's up to you, but you'll have everything there if you want.
Anything else, guys?
Well, that's something we can decide later on.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, I mean, we've got time to do that, and we just want to make sure that, we're all kind of on the same page, and that the directions that we're going, and the things that are coming up next, you guys are ready for, and can engage on too.
So I think probably what will happen is, at this point, once the side families kind of locked in, then we'll get you a copy of that, so you can see what all those different types of signage will look like. And it literally will be a big wish list. And some stuff is attainable and some stuff is not, but we're designing it, so we're gonna go through and design stuff that's gonna work now, and what you can put in, and stuff that, you know, maybe Adam wants to give us some more money.
So we'll own all the designs?
So we'll, like, again, that's something, and maybe like me and I should talk about that. I mean, it doesn't make sense for my office to own it, but because we're paying for it, technically, unless however we figure that out, it would automatically be our office because of the financial part of it. But I don't want that to live in our office. Like, I want the village to be able to, yeah. So, not that we would ever say, no, you can't do that, but I might not be in this position forever either. So just because I'm cool with it and you guys are, like, positions change. So we want to do whatever is sustainable for the village to be able to carry that forward. So, however we need to figure that out, we'll figure it out. But that is the goal, is to have the village own everything.
I got $10 and buy it right now.
Ooh.
Dinner.
So you won't change that over to Tioga County?
No, we're not gonna do that. This is really Owego specific. And so, we even talked about doing some of the county signs with that branding, and we don't think that that's really a good idea. I think this is really specific to Owego.
Yeah.
And I also want to say, like, Connor and his team and the design team, with the amount of signs they're designing that are not going to be, that they're not going to be fabricating or installing, they're going a little above and beyond what they actually needed to do for the RFP to give us like all these different options for the different DRI projects, but also for the future too. So I think it's gonna be really comprehensive, and I think it's just gonna help us in the long run be able to get like better, consistent signage throughout the village, whether it's in this the projects we have going on now or a little bit down the road.
Any other questions?
What's your last name?
Your
Your
name?
last name?
Ferran.
Spell that for us.
Foran. And I'm actually a local, I actually live in Well, so. So it's not a huge, kind of feel like we're neighbors. Down here, right, I guess right down here. When did Ryan have his last game? Yeah, Ryan was playing last game. They're over here for his game, and then, he just brought Ella down for her birthday dinner at MJ's before the game, so. So we're down here all the time, which is part of the reason why I think, and I've been adamant about just, we're doing signage, like Owego to me, I still remember saving my $5 to go to Owego Gardens when I was in kindergarten, they might be this fly trap. Like that's Owego, like the hickories, so we are taking those things, I know it doesn't necessarily fall into the zone, I know it doesn't necessarily fall into the village, but it's a greater part of who Owego is. So we really are trying to take our time and make sure that the signage is designed that it fits the greater area that you guys can implement at your wish.
It's always nice when somebody has an emotional connection when they're working on it.
It's gonna be the EV charging stations, that's like probably the only thing that doesn't have a, future coming thing, might not be on the list.
And we talked about
we
that.
actually,
Yeah, so that's on the list for.
And we do them all the time, so that's actually something that's, to us, that's a basic regulatory sign. So, because we do them all the time I got 2 parking garages right now, we're putting in like 20 of them, so.
And then we also talked about the historic signs. Nadine is on our steering committee, so there's some signs that don't necessarily fit within like the whole branding thing, but we're still considering all of those.
You said you was working on a catchphrase, or do you have any ideas?
We have one that we've identified as, we think is probably the main, but we're gonna recommend in our report probably 3 or 4 sub variants that can be used.
Yeah, that's a hard one. It really is, because like signs are semi-permanent, and number one, do we need a tagline? Do we want taglines? And, so I think that's something that when we get that report and we can kind of look at them and choose, and it's really, that's something that the steering committee has not really come to like an agreement on, like what's going to be the main thing.
Taglines for a whole are more what we call soft signage, so it's more website marketing material. It's not something that's gonna be on more permanent fixtures.
So you're talking about something like along the lines of what they did with I Love New York?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Did you have an idea?
we go, you go, we go.
Well, and that's the thing, is like the tagline can change, especially soft signage, and Connor, I'm assuming that I'm right about this, or it might not be, but like that doesn't last as long as like, the actual signs that we're putting in the ground. So if we want to get banners one year and they have a tagline, and then like 5 years later, we need to replace those and we want a different tagline, that's kind of something that can evolve a little bit if needed.
Right, we're working with, we're gonna bring all kinds of different options to the table. So like one of the things that we talked about is a window graphic that goes into maybe storefronts or a storefront that's under construction that has a consistent look and feel. So when people are walking down the street, that it doesn't feel like it's an empty building. It feels like it's something's coming, right? Even if nothing's coming, it makes it feel like something's coming. Everything from looking at doing gift wrap, right, for the holiday seasons that to kind of roll the logo out. I mean, there's lots of different things that fall into the soft signage and the marketing piece. So it really is a pretty complex plan that we're going to lay out for everybody.
All sounds great.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for the time, and we'll keep you posted as things keep progressing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate all your work.
We get to think about some more. Put my kids in college.
Yeah, happy to help.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, anytime. Let's see, should we do, we'll do department head reports.
I still can't see, unsee what's on there.
Paula?
Doesn't matter to me, I showed up late. You didn't.
You're the one that's always walking out the door, so last one in.
Oh, I'll have to remember that. I'll see you guys at 8 o'clock next time. I'm gonna take one and pass it down. So apologies for my tardiness there.
Thank you.
So basically, we were dispatched to 161 calls. The dispatcher was at a training, so I don't have my full report, but we responded to calls from mutual aid, and hopefully I'll have that within the next couple of days. And we had approximately 11 calls for mutual aid received. Just on those mutual aid receives, like today, we had one ambulance out of service over at the garage, and we had 5 or 6 calls in the district at the same time. One was covered by the on-duty medic and one with a volunteer crew. So just, it's not always a staffing issue. It's sometimes we're out of ambulances when crap hits the fan. We had 40 volunteers respond to calls in September, still good numbers. We completed 4 standbys, administration stuff, working on the ambulance replacement. A couple of our EMS volunteers had the Weeblos over, showed them how to do basic CPR stuff in a tour. One bullet here that I remembered after the fact is we participated in the school winning parades in the past week. 31, the power lift was determined to be not functioning well this afternoon, so we have service calling on Wednesday for that. And the other ambulance, they had a bunch of work on it done last week. It's going back tomorrow for some kind of vibration that's going on when we get to 60. And the exciting news is the new power lift was installed in 33 last week, and that's been working fine since then. So 2 vehicles over 100,000 miles. The newest one has 19,000 miles, and that's that.
It's crazy, the new one, 19,000.
Yep. We're working on trying to keep the newest one third line as we're, working on ambulance replacement stuff.
It happens in the hospital, 40 miles away.
Yep. Well, 40 mile round trip.
Right.
Yep.
So tires and chains on those?
So the one, we used to have those push button chains that would come down and go underneath the tires, but they became a maintenance nightmare. It cost more to maintain them than not.
You're getting around already, you have like good tires.
Oh yeah, we have good tires. We typically don't have a problem. We get out in parts of the town of Tioga, those guys are out plowing snow and they have a bunch of their members that are on the town road crew, they hear a call and even before we're asking for snowplow escort, we're sending one off the road.
Is it warm in here?
Hi, sweating.
Usually I'm cold, but I'm fine now.
The mayor's here.
You're just right.
Perfect.
You're just right. Someday I'll figure out how to run the thing over there.
Wow. Half of us wear parkas, the other half tank tops.
Well, Ron Belton, said to me a couple weeks ago that,
No idea.
there's a lack of privacy on
Oh, yeah.
ambulances. The back doors, you can see, you
Yeah,
can see who's in and what's, and so we talked about getting, some sort of a film to put over them.
Yeah, so the newest one, and I think it's only the newest one, you have the push button on the side and it blanks out the windows. And also, as we're building into the re-chassis spec, any windows in the back will have the same feature. You push the button and,
Well, can we get the older ones tinted or something?
we could get them tinted. The only problem is at night, it would be brighter on the inside than on the outside. We could put curtains.
Why not a simple shade?
Yeah,
It's
simple
a-
shade.
Yeah, well, board meeting too, they talked about getting a film you could put on it where you can see out, but you can't see in.
Yeah, I think the only issue is when it's brighter on the inside, it might be harder for that.
Okay.
So it might be shade time.
Yeah, the curtains might work.
I had a resident point out to me, and I could literally see everything they were doing. with this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Who it was.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, okay, this is probably uncomfortable for her. Because there was,
Yeah,
would be a bunch of
privacy.
people on the sidewalk at the time. So I just thought I would bring it up.
Okay. All right, we can figure something out. Yep.
Yeah, those ones that found over are pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, they are. They are.
Anybody else have anything for EMS? All right.
Thanks, Paul.
Hey, did you guys get paid for monster trucks? Was y'all there?
Yeah, we did. We got a donation from them. Yep.
Anything else from EMS? All right. Good deal.
Okay, thank you.
Tracy, we got a bunch of stuff on the agenda for you.
Just one thing I did want to mention, DEC was down, did their first inspection of the solid management section of the plant. Since we did the upgrade to the Class A, they were very impressed with the whole new system. Everything passed with flying colors there. So did want to mention that. Other than that, everything else is running reasonably smooth at the plant. Like I say, I do have some stuff on the agenda, broken pumps and stuff like that, but I say things are running smooth. Part of doing business, so broken pumps and valves and such. So say I really don't have anything else other than the stuff that is on the agenda.
Perfect.
I guess I could mention where rural water was in today. I mentioned it briefly to the mayor before. There's a apprenticeship program that they're offering to enroll the operator trainees in, 100% free to the village. The employees have to keep track of hours, just like any apprentice in the electric program or masonry and carpentry apprenticeship program. They keep track of their daily hours, what they're doing. You know, they have to have so many hours at the end of the program to graduate from it. Rural Water will come once a month on site and do training in various classes, all 100% free, 100% paid for by Rural Water. At the end of this, they'll have CPR, Ocean 10, several, certifications and stuff. They're getting those certifications that would normally cost money is 100% paid for by Rural Water. So,
Could any other department employees attend that?
it's just for the operator trainees, so no, unfortunately.
We scan?
Sometimes the DPW guys work there. Right now, I'm gonna get the training too.
No, because they take care of all the numbers and they gotta be certified in their buildings of what they do. They're on the street, when they work on the street, that's the same. But what they do in their building, it's all them guys.
So, so I'm gonna be signing up the 3 operator trainees for that and stuff, so that, a lot of free training, that'll be very, very helpful for the new guys by all means.
We like free.
We like.
Yes. Like, we got these
I got certified and you did.
Free, yeah.
Anything else? Anything for Tracy besides stuff on the agenda, which we'll get to in a minute?
Are we any closer to this Class B license thing? I mean, what are we doing with this? We've got people that be coming up on probation soon.
Josh got one, I mean, you know, nobody else is,
Because he kind of fell into a perfect scenario where he didn't have to pay that $5,000 fee.
Correct. We're trying to get out of it. I
Oh, even the
I just think it's a lot of money for them just to take off after we paid for it. And how would you control it, I guess?
Right.
So in 55, our dump truck is about rotted as it comes out to be, and that's why we're ordering the new dump truck. And that our new guys are not CDL.
I think that's the best option to save us a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just transfer to non.
Absolutely correct.
So that probably be our best.
And then if we got the salters and stuff like that, I'll have, I think it's 3 salters on the 1-ton dumps. So we're good with that for
Maybe no
salt.
snow this year anyway. So
I like the way you're thinking. I wish you're right.
It's November and 7
I hope you're right.
and our back on is the only CDL truck at the sewer department. It's a 2004.
And then
We are looking at new ones at the present time. The issue is to get one that's small enough so it's not a CDL vehicle. It's quite small. You're very limited on volume of water. So my concern is if we have a plugged sewer main, is that they're 500 gallons, they're not CDL. Is that 500 gallons?
Endorsement for that or what?
No, not if it's a non-CDL.
So I'm not sure though the 500 gallons will be enough to sufficiently flush a line. So are you gonna be making several trips? And so we're looking at other options and stuff, and
Okay. As long as we have some kind of a plan in place.
My plan is get rid of CDL.
I like reading about that.
I would like to do that too. I just don't know if that's feasible for that sewer cleaning truck, unfortunately. So that's where we're exploring the options we have there.
Okay.
So,
But, yeah, we talk more about it, but.
Yeah, I just know that we have some probations within the next, I don't know, 5 to 6 months, whatever it is. And per contract, they're supposed to be.
Right. I just don't wanna pay, what, $5,000 for the CDL and then they
agree.
leave.
Well, again, go and make $30 an hour somewhere else.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. So anyway.
Anything else for Tracy? Is not on the agenda. All right, Fred?
So as y'all know, we had the monster truck show and they destroyed the infield, is all you know. We took all the dirt that they used and reseeded the infield ourselves. And we did have Owego Water Soil come and reseed the infield. So we will have a brand new infield with free dirt, but we had to pay for the hydro seed. The bathrooms and the grandstands are all closed up for winter. All the water's off in the Marvin Park. So that's all taken care of, and other than the lights that we have left on. We finally got West Ave and Woodlawn paved, milled and paved, so that's done. Hallelujah. That was a nightmare from, you know where.
West Avenue's been a mess for years.
Excuse me? West Ave?
West Avenue's
Yeah.
been a mess for many, many years.
Many years. Right now, for the last 3 weeks, we've been doing leads, 2 crews going at it constantly. We're doing on average of 15 loads a day. And we've been doing it for 3 weeks now. So, if you know people that live in the village, just relax. We're getting there. There's a lot of people in this village.
They're starting to stop falling. So.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was looking this morning. I was doing my rounds at the tree fan. Thank goodness, you're about all on the ground. Get you done. So just bear with us, but we're getting there. What else was there? We finished out the bike racks for that county bid that we thought we were only supposed to put 2 bike racks, had to do 6, so that is completed. And now we can get reimbursed from the county.
That's the state for that.
And what was that?
It's the state grant.
We did 2 more catch basins on Academy Street and 2 more on Halsted Ave that were no good, that had to be fixed. And they're replaced and done. Hyde Park bathrooms are shut off, the water leak is fixed, and it's shut off for the year there. Now we started today, Lake Street, Front Street, for the lighting on the green poles for this weekend's festival. And OHM wants to put the tree in the courthouse that we talked about, okay? Hopefully Friday, we will be working with John Boland and digging that hole for the tree for the years to come for Christmas, for the December 2nd lights on the river. So we're gonna have something that we can put a tree in every year and then take it out when we're done. It'll be underground, and then we'll cover it up, and then we'll expose it again just with a couple scoops of dirt, and we'll have a pit there already for a tree to be flopped in. So that's a good idea, so we didn't have a tree, blah, blah, blah. So we're gonna do that hopefully Friday on our day off. We're gonna go with the U-Dig tomorrow and get that set up. And the OHM is having a tree donated from Wagner Lumber. So, and then they're gonna supply the lights and all the things that they want on it. And we're gonna go over there with a bucket truck and run the lights for them and stuff like that.
It's gonna be a pretty big tree, right?
Well, as of this year, it's only gonna be roughly a 20-footer. The Boy Scout puts in a 30-foot.
Okay.
We also gotta think, like 3 to 4 foot of that is gonna be in the ground to hold it.
I thought they said it'd be about 15 feet high once it's in.
Yeah, but she was talking a 15-foot tree.
Oh.
But then you gotta take 4 foot of it off, 3 to 4 foot to put it in the ground. Okay? Yeah, that's pretty much it, the leaves and the lights. There's a couple lights on Lake Street that Rick's gotta look at tomorrow, but all the lights are up. We gotta do the banners yet. And then hopefully in another week or 2, we'll start doing the stars on the bridges, on the bridge. Where Rick started putting the new bulbs and stuff that didn't make it. So we'll get that ready before December 2nd, having the stars out and have all that done. Once the leaves are done, I'm gonna take out the 8 bushes in the courthouse with the 4 apple tree or crab trees that are rotted. They're coming out. And that's about it. Oh, and we'll have Tony, how's the tree guy thing?
The tree guy.
Yeah, Tony, oh my, Barnhart.
Barnhart, yeah.
We were having Tony Barnhart, come to the village and clean back the trees that are overlaying the roads and people's houses that are on our property on the berms. And then we have 6 trees at Little League that has to come out of the budget to take care of them. And the rest of it will be in the village on the berms that will cut back on Front Street, Main Street mainly, all the roads where they're grown over the road and stuff, and people houses that are touching it, will be cleaning them up.
I just thought something. Forgot about it.
Well, Fred was also talking about working on bids for that
Yeah.
parking lot.
I got 2 bids for
Chapel.
the parking lot. Reach just came in at 18.9 and Roots were at 32, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm still waiting for Foster's. Hopefully tomorrow he's supposed to give me the quote. Do you think?
Where's the big tree gonna go, like, on the corner?
If you're going down Park Street towards Dunkin' Donuts, right where where our panel box is, right there for plug, just in that little square area right there.
You dispose of that when it's done.
Yeah. We can flush it.
I wasn't sure it'd be too big for the chipper or not, so. I don't have.
Give it back to Wagner, let them chip it, right?
Excuse me?
You say give it back to Wagner, let them chip it.
Oh, yeah, we'll take it back to Wagner. Depending how big the base is, but I mean, we can probably do most of it.
Rusty.
So we paved Woodlawn, did they dig it up the next day?
Don't
This
even
is
go there.
automatic.
Do not even go there.
Okay, we'll stay away from that.
Rusty, that was one of the worst week I had here in the village. I went home and kinda got schnockered. I won't lie. I was about ready to hand the keys in and the whole enchilada.
It's part of the rules, it's just has
It
to
was
happen.
not a good, it's not just Woodlawn.
No,
It's
it's
been on
everywhere.
West Ave,
It's
too.
part of the rules everywhere. It's part of the rules everywhere. The second you
What?
pave
I'm
it-
serious.
No,
It
the
happened
second
on
you
West
pave
Ave
something,
too.
somebody cuts it up.
We were paving it and water's coming out of the ground.
Well,
Yeah, that wasn't a good day.
I'd be interested to know in, how much, expense it costs the village for the monster trucks and things. So we've done our seeding and all that. Do we have an expense deal for that?
He has not sent us a quote, but it was $2,500 per acre to seed and mulch because the town, or the Tioga Water, or Tioga County Water and Soil cannot do it to the municipalities for free anymore.
Okay.
So he's hoping that his boss will give us a break, but what I agreed to was $2,400 an acre.
And how many acres? do you-
1 acre, we did the 1 acre.
Any other expenses there?
Just our guys' time a
All
day
the time and stuff?
for taking all that dirt. I mean, we used their dirt, it was good topsoil that we could use to reseed. And, we took our loader and spread it out through the whole infield.
All the time,
I mean, if I would be happy if we could incorporate that 2,400 for next year. Or something to that effect.
Didn't they leave a deposit for damages?
Yes.
1,500.
Yeah.
That's one of the, we've talked about this
We've talked-
before, and so I'm trying to find out what
Correct.
did it actually happen? Did they steal circuit breakers? Did they mess up?
No,
our
not
electricity?
as of right now, to my knowledge, no.
And water, we didn't have. any
No,
problem
we were
with
good with
it.
that. What's that mermaid? What the heck is that mermaid's name? It's all I can think of.
Ariel.
Ariel. Thank you. The guy's name was Ariel that was with
Oh,
the
yeah,
monster
got it.
trucks.
Yeah,
That's how I have to remember his name.
that manager guy or whatever.
Yeah, so after the first day when, him and I had a few unchoice words, we kind of worked things out and we were good.
Well, we appreciate you standing up for the village.
Well, that's not a problem.
Yesterday, man hours were put in like the dirt fill and the reseeding.
I would say, well, 8 hours, 2 guys for just laying down the dirt, and then it was another half to 3/4 of a day for Tioga County and one of our guys to work with him.
Plus lunch.
16, what was the second day, it was a half and
So Rupp and Kenny were for 1 day spreading topsoil. And before we go any further, it took us a little bit more, but it was our time for remember all the ditching that they did with Jeff? That was never seeded or topsoil or anything else. I mean, a lot of that topsoil to seed that so that we can mow it, but I still call it a day. I don't care. I'd call it a day for 2 of our guys. Yeah. So you had 16 hours, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, say 22 hours of our guys, and then 5 hours for Tioga County as a guy, but that's all $2,400 of it, so that would be his time.
Okay, just wanted
Yep,
to
yep,
go for next
yep.
time.
I agree with you, and that's what my complaint was, he said, when we were talking, with the mayor talking about it, that they only would do $1,000. Well, guess what?
We do that.
They did damages.
We knew we didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Next year, we turn it 5,000 more.
It's exactly right,
We'll
that's
need
what
to
I'm
remember
saying.
this next year, all this stuff.
There was stuff from last year we need to remember for this year.
Hey, we did a lot better than we did,
Remember
so I'm
Remember the
happy
budget
with that.
and some new stuff.
Like that, them parking, that still hasn't been fixed.
Yeah, because when I left Friday, that was all supposed to be, I talked to Jonathan Marks, and we even put the rocks out in the middle of the road for the cars to be taken down through the field, and no, I guess from what Russell said, that never happened.
They did not park and we.
Yeah.
Nobody charging?
$15.
15 bucks is what I thought they were gonna
Instead of
charge.
parking on our property.
Yeah.
Well, I think next year we should.
Yeah,
keep
but
our
my
property
question is
and
how-
we charge $5 a car, $10 a car.
Yeah, but the whole point of the matter is, they were supposed to come down through the fairgrounds and go into the parking lot of the fair boards.
Well, I said we can put rocks in the way.
Yeah, we even put rocks in the way, so how they, let's say brought them down Elm Street, I have no
They
idea
did
how they
not
got
bring them
it.
down Elm Street, they brought them down through the fairgrounds, they didn't bring anybody down Elm Street, they came up to where the rocks should have been and gone up to the fair board's property, and they turned left across our property and parked over on our property by the dike. That's what they did, that's what the monster truck people did, the fair board people had nobody.
I don't think there was nobody there.
They
for the
had no
fairgrounds,
intention of being
yeah.
there, and they didn't do anything there.
Well, I
Right.
think they screwed up 2 years in a row with the parking, so next year.
Well, here you go again, see, I don't think that that was true, Charles, I think that they give them an X amount of dollars to use their field,
Oh, no.
and then the monster truck took the money for the parking, am I correct?
Yes.
So I don't think the fair board cared less, as long as they got their money, which they did, so they didn't care where they parked.
Well, what if they didn't park where they were supposed to?
Correct, because we didn't have anybody from the village or the fair board, like we wanted to, because they wanted their own cops. And we said no to that. That's the only reason why they only had our cops there. They wanted free range of whatever they could have done.
That didn't work the first year.
Yeah, exactly.
They couldn't get around the ring bracelets.
Okay.
They were shady looking people.
That's enough of that for me for now.
Okay. I'm always available, come and call.
No, I'm just.
You can snap her together.
Sure,
Yeah.
not a problem.
It's not during a meeting.
Down the ball now.
Okay, we can do that.
Anything else for Fred? Decide what's on the agenda? Seems not enough.
I get fire?
Yep.
The fire department would like to know the latest on the fire station, the tower, the roof, proposal for bid, whatever that, the absolute last latest is.
So Hunt should be sending a meeting minutes from this last weekend's meeting. But anyway, the latest on the fire station is the historical architect has been hired and is redesigning or designing the replacement of the tower. So they want to send that whole package out to bid together, the replacement of the tower and the roof. So they want to get that out to bid like next month.
You want to give it out to bid next month, and I want to bid them together, the tower and the roof.
Correct.
Okay.
We have confirmation from the state, not in writing, which is what we're pushing them to do.
Yeah.
For, the difference between the amount, the DRI award amount and what we asked for.
400 down to 200, 200 up to 400, whatever that is.
So we got verbal confirmation, the 200 up to 400. We're pushing to get that in some kind of a contract is what we're trying to do, which is also kind of holding up the bidding.
Okay.
And has, held up some of the architect work in the beginning because none of that was really in their scope, so.
Thank you.
There is extra money in the DRI. Overall, there were some projects turned back. If we want to go for that, we're gonna have to go against the other projects to make our case for it.
Other projects of ours?
No, either private projects that didn't get enough money or other projects that were in the plan but not funded at all.
Yeah, but other projects in ours, not in.
Oh, yeah, no,
Corners,
within our
other
DRI,
projects in our-
but not necessarily just
Okay.
our village.
So it's not impossible, we could, if we needed 500 or 600 to do that fire station, that we could, it's not impossible that we'd have to find that way.
There is a couple $100,000 at least.
On some other
I think we should go for it, because I mean, if you don't use it on the roof, you're gonna use it at Yard Park or Marvin Park. Couple $100,000, it doesn't go very far.
And depending on how much the roof is and how much other money there are.
It may be over the 400,000.
I'm sorry?
It may be over the 400,000.
Yeah, but also that, and then if there's a number of other pieces of money we should be thinking ahead whether, don't have to decide at this minute, whether we're gonna try and ask them, can we get the elevator in there that we wanted? Can we get some of that money?
Yeah.
I'm just
That
saying,
could
we
be
need
out
to
of the
think
other
about
one.
that possibility if we want to attempt to, where we might, if we're gonna ask for some of that money for something, is that one of the places we wanna ask for it?
Right. But for that, we'll have to build our case, which maybe there's somebody on the agenda that would help us build our case.
Of,
Getting some more money.
yeah.
That's what I'm waiting for.
But anyway, that's the status.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I understand. Right, we have a little bit, last week's little bit, we have a little bit better, they wanted a little bit better thought process now. They wanted us to commit back in DRI, that we were gonna get rid of that fire station and repurpose it for something else, and we said we can't do that, we don't know, blah, blah, blah. And I would dare to say that it's not that we're ready to do that, not that we know we're gonna do that, but we would be closer today to saying we might be willing to repurpose that for something than we were a couple of years ago.
With the amount of work that's going on.
Yeah, so I mean, just saying, that might be something we'll be thinking about, put it in your brains, think about it for down the line.
500,000 to do it, selling for 2, that sounds like good math.
That's how it works.
As long as it's free, I don't. From
As long as we, it's not out of our pocket.
Okay, that's it for that.
So anyway, but it does look like we're gonna be able to get the, I mean, obviously the bids aren't in yet, but a new clock tower and the roof fixed with DRI money.
And hopefully next month is, we're gonna get those bids out.
Well, see, they're down at
That's the
Fairgrounds
target.
last week.
Yeah.
All
What's that?
day. Yeah. They're down at Fairgrounds all day, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yep.
Yeah, they've been doing surveys and all kinds of stuff.
Did a couple crews down at Fairgrounds.
What's that generally guaranteed for, 30, 50?
I don't know.
What's the police station? Is that 30-year warranty on the police station roof?
It's either 30 or 50.
Because I know it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Talk about that, we had to do
Get long after we're off this board.
archaeology dig.
Yeah, that's on the thing.
You didn't hear about this?
Um,
We're gonna talk to Rudy.
They wanna do that,
Doing it Thursday.
they wanna do that for the Indian bones, or whatever, that is, they always gotta do it for. Okay.
Thursday.
So anyway, that's the update on the fire station, DRI stuff.
Okay, thank you for that. Police, you ready for police? The chief has asked that, we surplus 2 vehicles. I may or may not have the numbers exactly right, but we believe it's 752, it's one of the 2 Tahoes that we bought from Vestal. He would like to put that on international auction, and I think we gave him permission to use that site for various things. So we'd like to surplus 752 on the international auction site. He's optimistic that we'll get more money for that than we paid for it. It has its, whatever, there's the reasons to get rid of it. And then we also have the, we called it the SRO car, it was an expensive, I believe, a Hyundai, and he would like to surplus that and put that on the international auction.
Not the one
We'll
we
get
bought.
much out of it.
No, not the door handle car.
Yeah.
But
But
anyway, so, that being the case, do we need to, have a motion to surplus those and put them on that?
Yes.
I so move.
And you'll have to add all the details
Where,
of the cars later,
Exact numbers.
as far as.
VIN numbers
VIN
and
numbers,
other stuff.
Yeah.
So, can we do that and add the numbers later?
Gotta get there.
So that's the motion that we surplus those 2 vehicles.
A second.
Yes, street sweep.
Any discussion on that? Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes.
Chief wanted to be on the, I don't think he's on there, wanted to be on this to show us that he's still working,
Yeah,
and
what's
doing
the
stuff.
update
And
on
he is
him?
doing some work, and we're trying to convince him to do almost no work.
How's he doing?
Recovered. Pretty well considering, yeah.
He's still down
Back
south?
here?
Oh, yeah, he's down in Charleston, and he's gotta do some stuff, he's not even supposed to go anywhere for a while, he's gonna be there for a while.
I talked to him, about 2 hours ago now.
Oh, did you?
He
I was
sounded
giving him rest.
He sounded better
Is
since,
he? Good.
since.
Yeah, it's a great hospital down there in Charleston.
So he's about 2-3 minutes from the hospital where he's staying, so he's got a lot of appointments he's gotta be going through, so.
And you can't stop him, so he's on the clicker, he's talking to the guys up
Yeah.
there, he's still,
He's already
He's a
called me
good
like
dude.
6 times
Yeah.
since the surgery, so.
He's a good dude.
When did we get a pickup truck? I just saw it today for the first time.
That was
About
our-
a month ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got a grant for that like 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that was.
that was a $60,000 grant we got for a vehicle. Blinked twice and we got new cars and all
So we
kinds
had
of things.
SUVs, I saw a pickup truck, how'd that come from?
Yeah. Yeah, we got a couple,
Oh,
well, we
right.
got it right before the,
I don't ride in the back of cars.
Where does that come from?
we got it, right before the event there.
And I gotta tell you, our different folks in our, that work for us, that work for the village in different places, are so good at this stuff. You can't buy a truck for $1 zillion now, and they got that truck for, I'm making this up, 20 grand less than you're supposed to. Our folks, everybody that's doing these things are finding the places, finding the stuff. It's just really fabulous.
The pickup truck was a Sam's grant, it was in the States.
That's why I can't buy a new car, y'all sweeping them up.
Yeah, that's right.
It was locked up in the state financing for a while, and then it was locked up with actually getting the truck, so.
Yeah.
It finally showed up.
Well, we're all practiced in penny pinching.
Yeah,
That's all from the police for today.
so that'll be a nice thing for the winter. Yeah.
I'd like to add to Rusty's, report. There's a question of each department in the clock tower. We have, furniture that's in the break rooms. They're wondering if they could store it, and what would be the procedure, and would we be able to pay for storage?
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've talked about it before. Company Fours, that's room is under the clock tower, that had a bunch of things, and they wanted, remember a while back, they wanted to move a big case out of there. So they're concerned about some of their things there, and when they're in a particular way of thinking, they want the village to be responsible for their things, because we're responsible for the building in whatever manner or form, and they want us to move them out of there and put them into a special hermetically sealed, blah, blah, other things. And that would be something that could be talked about or concerned. Hey, that clock tower took 2 years to deteriorate. If you didn't take care of your stuff, you didn't take care of it.
Did we move their stuff to another room there? Is there
Sure, we got 5 rooms there. We got rooms all over the place.
Oh,
There's lots of
rooms
things. But could they do it now?
not in?
Your quality is, at a level where it's not suitable.
Could we get some guys in suits to move their stuff to it?
We had this discussion 6 months ago.
Yeah. How responsible are we for the possessions of a company who's responsible for their own possessions? And
I think that would be his question.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that has been a concern from Company Force.
Somebody will
Oh, here he is.
There's Nate.
Hi, Nate.
See, here's the name.
I would hope so. They're responsible for their stuff.
That would be good.
Well, I think they are trying to be responsible, but they can't get in there. It's like a catch-22.
Let's do what Nate says.
Yeah, so I will suggest that if there's a question about liability, then we should have an attorney-client session and not discuss it, openly in public, because there's a lot of facts and information about exactly what the arrangement was. If they're claiming, the village is liable for something, that's a very, very hard thing to just decide at a board meeting, right? So if they're going to make a claim, then that's up to them. And then the board, of course, can discuss it, consult with legal as to specific liability and responsibility for it. You'd refer to your insurance carrier. I just don't want you to make statements in public that might impair your insurer insofar as there's a claim for damages.
So there we go, we'll have Nate figure it out.
Yeah, does the fire board want to meet with Nate?
That's probably Wednesday.
You
See how it goes.
know what? I'm not gonna say any of that stuff here right now.
Okay.
Well, and that's going to go back to what I just said, right? This is a discussion and a conversation that I think requires me to have a lot more information in order to provide good advice to you all in an attorney-client session.
So maybe next time, maybe we'll research that between now and next time.
We'll have an
We'll
executive
have an
session.
executive session with me.
An attorney-client session. Like,
Yeah, whatever I call
But do you drink?
it.
Yeah, he does.
It's perfect.
I've seen.
Okay. All right.
Only
We'll work
one.
on that. What the heck did you turn your heat off? You do this. Are you cold now?
No, I'm still sweating.
All right, so we have one thing from the clerk's office.
One more thing.
Okay.
It came to our attention that there was no fire department coverage at the monster truck thing.
Oh.
There was no fire department there. I think that's a breach of contract. They were supposed to have coverage. They neglected to call the chief. And he waited for their call, nobody called him. So we had EMS coverage and police department coverage. In that contract, we were supposed to have fire department coverage.
Right.
And just because nothing happened after the fact, they need to be charged. I'm gonna squeeze on them. Because this is not supposed to happen.
And that was a big risk we took with our village.
Yeah,
No, we can talk to Nate about that.
it ain't happening.
Nate wrote the contract, so.
You got more
So-
homework, Nate?
So Nate, it was in there that they needed to have fire department coverage, right?
yeah, I believe we did require in the contract them to have separate arrangements with the emergency services. I'd have to just double check the specific language. You know, it's one of those things that I see Rusty raising his hand, so.
Go ahead, Russ.
No, I wait for Nate to finish.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, Charles, this is also probably a good thing for attorney-client session, but I will just say, I think the event is over. There was no fire emergency. I don't know if I'd throw around the phrase breach of contract, because that suggests that you would attempt to recover from them your damages as a result of their breach of contract. But I'm not aware or sure what damages we necessarily have. And again, I'd need to know more just about what the thought of that or thrust of that would be before we try to pursue something with them.
So if they took the same line of action with not contacting EMS or the police for that fact. So there's no EMS coverage, there's no police department coverage, and no fire department coverage. What's the
We
deal with that?
stopped them from having the event then.
Uh-huh.
We should have prevented them from having the event, is what it sounds like.
We should have just stepped in and put the kibosh on that, because there was no fire department. I would have stepped from the stage and said, look, it's over. So you got my fire department people there.
Which we could have, had we known.
I wish I had known. Done it myself.
Rusty.
So we had a contract with them, and then in that, one of the terms of the contract were that we were going to have a secondary contract about these three, public safety things, and that was supposed to happen within 14 days of the event, and blah, blah, and then the subcontract never got negotiated with them in any manner or form. So that's another, we'll talk with Nate about that some.
Yeah.
And when we talk with him about everything else.
Yeah, next year that'll be much different. If they want to
What's the
come
next year?
Okay. Charles, you good there?
Yeah.
No, no.
Because none of
We're
the
all-
dates in that contract really happened. They were supposed to pay 10 days ahead and didn't. Anyway.
Except a big bag of money. Nothing ever happened. Forget it, let's go. Let's move it along.
Yeah, they pay in cash. Okay, we got one thing from the clerk for department.
So you guys all got a copy of this, it's an RFP for the 90 Temple Street architects?
Well, the RFPs are, yeah, we need to do that.
Well, we're gonna do addendum to this RFP. And basically what it says is that, the architect that starts a project will probably finish the project, because it was kind of vague in the contract. So they just want to add that part.
It'll be there through the duration.
Yeah.
And it's on.
Yeah. I want to get that approved so they can. Like I say, everybody should have a copy of that.
No, it was online, but I
We got a copy here.
gave me this.
I don't.
These are papers I brought.
I got a copy here if you need one, but basically, like Rodney says, it says that the architect will remain overseeing the project through the whole project instead of just the bidding phase. So, when we get RFPs back, the price will be for them to do the whole project.
Funding for that from ABC or?
Yeah, that's all covered.
That was the only part I was unclear on.
It's a 75-25. It was kind of unclear in the original RFP, which was a cookie cutter one we got from the state.
So Rodney, on this page here, on this document, the second page that has the
That's the
things that
addendum.
we have to do to make it good.
That's the addendum.
So I hope that we adopt the addendum. No, if you didn't see it beforehand, you cannot see it now. You're just gonna ask a bunch of questions.
Oh, no, I saw this.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I
Any
just didn't see
questions?
when I was scrolling.
Any questions or discussions on that? We got a motion and a second to accept it. This will let us send it out to everybody who's bidding so they can bid on the right thing. Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, tell Cindy we got her one thing done. Good. All right,
To the rest of my agenda.
rest of the agenda. Accept the quote for low bid on digester roof tear off and replacement.
Tracy wants like $50,000 to my
I know.
Oh, so I move that we approve the low quote from CRI for $22,000. Money for this would be coming from the encumbered funds.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes. Next, accept the quote for low bid on the replacement pump, for Lackawanna Pump Station.
I move to approve the low quote from Seaward of $10,445 for replacement of a pump at Lackawanna Pump Station, not to exceed $12,000. That extra money is for delivery, stuff of that sort.
Money will come.
Yeah, because they wouldn't give us a price on shipping, right?
Money will come from encumbered funds.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? Replacing a bad pump. Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes. Next is accept a quote for a little bit on valves for the aeration system at the main sewage plant.
I move to approve the low quote for 2 valves and a controller at the main plant from RM Headley at a cost of $11,698, not to exceed $13,000.
Does it say where that one's coming from in place?
It's not.
The equipment line item.
That's where it's coming from, Rusty. You didn't see that written down there?
Yes, I did. Equipment line item. Second.
Any discussion on that? Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes. Next item, discharge mortgage, 40 Fox Street.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we discharge the mortgage at 40 Fox Street. So I have it written down here. For $12,300 for Roger and Martha Arnold.
Second.
Any discussion on that? I assume Rodney checked into it all, so good. Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes. All right, next, we have a motion for hiring an individual.
I move that we approve hiring Glenda Ford part-time as an office specialist 1. Board benefits, the rate was $30 an hour, I believe.
Can you run?
The rate was $30 an hour for the part-time.
No benefits.
No benefits to start. I don't know, she said beginning of November, so I'm assuming immediately.
As soon as possible.
This is a grant writer?
No, it's
Oh,
office specialist 1.
Fran, office specialist.
Right.
I don't know what that is.
That's-
Don't, it's,
That's somebody
That's
who
it.
helps
Do
the
special
office
office.
folder.
But that,
unofficially.
Okay, gotcha. I'm going
I'm going to second this motion and then have something to say about it immediately. There seems to be a civil service question on this,
Yeah, so she will have to take a test.
which is going to delay all of this.
Yeah. She signed up, she's already signed up.
To take the,
Yeah, she's already scheduled.
you know when that test is?
Yep, but I can't remember.
I'm with you.
But I said yes.
I'm with you.
It's soon.
Okay.
So I guess it would be pending the outcome of the test.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
I don't know how long it takes after the test. I don't know.
Fran?
Depends on the test, somewhere a week.
Oh,
The
yeah.
civil
How long?
service has gotten into the middle of this,
It
and
takes
that's
that
why
long?
his position will be
Oh, yeah.
that.
Holy
It's gotta
shit.
be simple.
Understand, thank you.
Really?
So how will that affect Ron's motions, Mayor? How will that affect Ron's?
I would just say pending.
She's gotta take the test, she's gotta pass the test, she's gotta be in the top three,
I don't think it's competitive, I think she just has to pass.
It's part-time.
They don't know.
So an appointment, if a test is required, is always provisional until the person has passed the test. And at that point, they become probationary. So your appointment tonight would be provisional until she takes the test. At that time, you should take action to make her a permanent appointment, subject to a probationary term, whatever that term is. I know the village, I think, typically goes with the minimum period of the probationary time. And especially after a provisional period, that makes a lot of sense. But so tonight's appointment would be provisional, not permanent or anything like that.
But she could start working now, correct?
She could, yep. If there's no test, if a test has not been held, there's no list of anybody, you have a position, you created the position, you need to put somebody in it, you can make a provisional appointment today.
So Nate, one of the questions is, do we believe that this particular test for this part-time position will be the type where the top three have to be surveyed, or do we not have to do that on this?
I don't know, I haven't seen the job duties statement. I haven't talked to civil service, so I don't know how civil service is classifying this. It's either competitive or not competitive. Now, I do know from talking with the mayor earlier today that this is, I believe, a confidential position to the mayor, the clerk, to the board. Typically, confidential positions like that are not competitive. And so if they need to pass the test, it's not competitive in that, you have to pick the top one. It's as simple, the test is like a pass fail. You either passed and can be appointed to it or not, but as soon as they pass it, they're otherwise eligible for appointment.
Thank you. Last piece. Good. So I just want to make sure I understood Ron's motion. So I'm thinking that his motion is that we're going to hire this person provisionally, dependent on a passing civil service test, depending on that it's not a competitive civil service test, starting as soon as available along those lines and at the price you said.
Yeah.
Just making sure that that's the whole deal.
Well, you understand my.
To clarify, Rusty, just a little bit, right? So the appointment is provisional. That's the only thing you need to say. By making it provisional appointment, it's clear that the appointment is otherwise contingent on passing a test. Whether it's competitive or not, it's apparently very, very clearly provisional. So at the time that she takes the test, if a test is required, then you would need to make a permanent appointment at that time. So there'd be a later action item for the board to do.
Give us more work, Nate.
You know me.
All right, so we have I think Ron made a motion to provisionally appoint.
That's exactly what Rusty said for me.
All right. Any other discussion on that? Shall we vote? Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes.
Yeah, Ron, I want to try to make it simple so we can get it today.
So she needs to come in anytime then?
Yep.
Okay.
Next one.
I'll make the motion to approve the hiring of.
This is gonna be the same deal.
Yeah, Joni
Provisional
Shelton,
appointment.
right. For, office specialist at $17 an hour. With the same terms that was just previously.
This is full-time.
Yeah, this is full
Says
time.
full-time?
According to that, it says it. Jody Shumway.
Oh, they take it, see, there's Cindy's job.
Yeah.
So this one's full time with benefits. Provisionally. Because there'll be a test there too. The same test actually.
Maybe both of these people, I doubt the test will be of concern.
Yeah.
So then this person will have, when, the moment we hire them, we'll start having benefits.
Correct.
And we're going to do that immediately.
2 weeks. And they
Now,
start-
is she going to be
they
trained
start-
by Cindy? I mean, is she gonna,
Yes.
there's gonna be overlap?
Yes. And that was the amount, remember we built into the budget? Last budget
We
year.
had her position.
And
She already did the same type of job.
Yeah.
For the school.
Yeah, I know we talked about it before, yeah.
And, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, but, both of these people were interviewed by everybody, including the, personnel committee, so.
And do we have a time frame when we think our current employee will be leaving in this person? September next year, so by almost a year.
Almost a year.
Did anybody second that?
I second.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? And that's provisional based on the same test. But maybe it might have different circumstances being full-time versus part-time sometimes. That changes things.
And I'm not sure if she hasn't already taken that test.
Right.
She might already have that test.
We'll check it out.
And
Well, civil service.
Nega's kind of already given us the guidance that we don't have to put every condition of the provisional in there. We have to say that word and then we will.
Civil service will tell us what.
Yeah, a bunch of people will tell us, so, yeah.
At a later time, we'll vote on making it permanent.
Correct, yeah. All right, shall we vote? Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
France?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes. The next item is bump the budget. This is the $1,500 deposit, put it into the DPW budget.
I move to transfer $1,500 from Public Works A 1710 monster truck security deposit to Parks Ground Maintenance A 710.40.221 for reseeding Martin Park.
I'll second that.
Which we, so we know this doesn't cover the whole thing, but at least there's some of it. Any discussion on that?
Can we give them the bill for the rest?
Possibly, we gotta talk to Nate about that.
Nate, can we give them the bill for the rest?
Well, we probably should talk to him now.
That's
Why they wouldn't agree to that $10,000.
That said we wanted to have.
It's not happening next year.
Yeah.
Put the squeeze on them.
Shall we vote on this, Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles? And yes. All right, addition to the CSC task force. This is a Laura thing.
All right, I motion to approve the ad Rick Wolt. He's a hydrologist. And he worked on some local projects like the school, and so, he knows the stuff around here.
So the motion is added to the
Climate Smart Communities Task Force.
second.
Any discussion on that? Thank him for his willingness. Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes.
How about that, one of the people on the list, Joanne Lindstrom, we just changed her.
I'm taking care of it.
Thing, yeah. Right.
Took care of that already in minutes.
All right, next thing is payment of bills.
I motion we approve the payment of bills as submitted.
Second.
Okay,
As usual, Mike, you're satisfied.
any discussion on that?
It's a little weird.
Oh, there actually was that many.
It's not like we can't afford it.
I know. We're gonna get too many. All right, we'll vote on them. Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes. And the minutes.
I motion we approve the minutes as submitted for October 17th.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the minutes?
Yeah, I want the motion to say the rest on here, as presented and amended by the clerk treasurer, a couple of little things have been said and since.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There was like, just like clerical, yeah.
I'm just telling you.
Okay, yeah.
So the motion is as presented and amended.
That's the motion is on the agenda.
Yeah, it's on the agenda in that way, because I just added side agenda. Maybe-
Any other discussion on that? Shall we vote? Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes. Trustee reports. Rusty?
No report.
Laura?
No report.
Ron?
Resident had asked me about a height sign on the underpass on North Ave.
Oh, yeah, I asked Fred about that. I mean, it's a
I
state
went to
DOT
the
thing.
state of New York DOT and they told me that if it's not marked, okay, what did I tell you the height was? 15, whatever the hell the heck it is. So they weren't putting a sign up.
So, yes, indeed.
The DOT said the truck driver should automatically know if it's not marked what the height
So
is.
that's part of their knowledge they're supposed to know.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's done.
Can you ask them, it's off topic, but there's a pothole right, if you're going out of town, right in the driving lane under the.
There's a pothole all the way through North End.
Well, no, it's in that concrete spot,
That's true.
and it's really deep. Concrete spot.
Under the underpass?
Right on the underpass.
Right under the bridge.
That's
Right
where the
along.
sump pump, Mike.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might be.
might be.
We can just we'll throw cold patch in it at some point, so I have to order cold patch anyway.
A couple people complaining to me about it.
Yeah, okay.
That is not the answer I expected, but thank you for an answer.
Yeah. I already looked into that because of I got the signs, by the way, for Erie Street going over that. We're gonna get them up. But I found, because why the truck drivers were coming over Erie Street and up over the railroad tracks is because their GPS sent them that way because they were afraid to go underneath the underpass. Well, obviously that truck driver didn't know the height. Because he went Erie Street,
They get stuck.
and he got stuck.
When they push
Railroad
the height,
track,
it's a
yeah.
foot less than it really is. I mean, it's
Yeah, but the state
13.6.
won't do
I
it.
know, but that's what, if we had a height on
Just
it before.
write a poster up there and put a height.
I don't know what would happen if we just put a sign up there.
There used to be a height then.
Yes.
And remember, those signs are generally 1 foot smaller than the height.
Right.
If that sign says 1210, it's 1310. I mean, that used to be the,
But yeah, do you wanna take the responsibility?
I don't want to put a sign up at all. I'm just telling you
Exactly, that's what
the
I'm
state
getting at.
does.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. If we put a sign there and something happens, we're liable.
Right, it's not our road or our bridge.
Bingo. Correct them on them. Why I didn't do anything.
The reason it came up is the sign committee was talking about putting a Owego sign on there if the railroad should allow, and I'm like, oh, those semis tend to plow into that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when the height question came up, and I don't think I've ever seen a height.
And the railroad owns that bridge. So I
Don't know, I don't want to talk about this a whole lot, I don't know about this, somebody said, send a truck there on GPS a different way. Are there designated GPS detour routes or anything like that for somebody to know to go a different way?
He was sitting on 38 looking at the underpass, North Avenue,
Yeah.
looking at the underpass.
Right.
He didn't think he could make it.
I understand, but is there?
So his GPS sent him Erie Street.
But that's not some DOT designated thing, designated detour thing or anything like that.
I don't believe so. I think he reprogrammed it into his.
Because if there was some kind of official thing, it lasted, well, we should have that going around Front Street intersection rather than the Main Street intersection where they get caught. In Front Street, they don't because it's flat. If there was some way,
But there's no way if he's coming from North Valley.
either way, you could go Front Street.
So you're taking a left at the end of Erie Street.
Left at the end of the street.
I don't know if he could make any of those corners, to be honest with you.
What are they doing at Floods? Are they go Glen Marion around that way?
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
but when it's dry, when he's at the underpass, he's looking at, to go underneath that underpass.
the trucks make, when we have trucks come around for a problem, that's the way we send them. If we have fire police, they make all those corners. It's, the only problem is the, I just wondered if there was an official way.
Well, there's gonna be a sign at both ends on Front Street and Erie Street telling them that trailers cannot cross that bridge, or cross that railroad track.
They have to say-
I have new signs made up I haven't got to it. Yeah.
The same issues on Binghamton and Robinson Street.
And I agree with you, because we had to lower all the manholes through there. The railroad company had more pull than the city of Binghamton did. They told them to go pound salt, so the city had to lower the road to accommodate that bridge.
They have a lot less power than they did 100 years ago.
Bingo. You know, the act of Congress to ever drill or dig along the railroad tracks?
Everybody wants to talk on my trustee report. Why don't you?
You started it.
Yeah, you did. Next question.
Anything else?
I forgot, so
Fran?
Nothing on the EMS. I mean, I think it's so impressive. We've got 40 active volunteers, you know, that are running those ambulances and attending people. It's amazing to me. You know, the fact that we have the #1 EMS in all of Owego County.
that's why everybody else wants to piggyback on it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's Amplifier. All you had to do was listen to the scanner today, like Paul said, they were out on 3 calls, they got called on 5 calls.
They were on the highway twice, right?
3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
Same with the fire department, they were out.
So they'll be back in the garage next week.
Yeah, our volunteers are just amazing. Amazing. Okay, so for the cemetery committee, the village cemetery committee, met last week, and, for the next 2 months, there's not gonna be a cemetery committee meeting. End of February, we'll have our first one, and we'll do some planning. I mean, there's nothing we can do in the winter time anyway, so.
How's the Pompelli place going? Do you know anything about that?
I'm not certain, I think, last I heard that there were, the steps there were waiting till spring, I think.
I know they dug the front half where the sitting area is to be.
Yeah.
Was this the vault?
They cleaned
Yeah,
out
Pompelli vault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin just sent me pictures of it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, looks good.
Good. So they got the
It's
roof all done
completed, is
then?
it?
No.
Yeah, they got the roof done.
This
And they got
backfill?
the retaining wall,
Yeah. Don't know.
he hadn't done the front part yet.
I haven't got close enough to it to see it.
He said they're gonna pour it this week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, their family's paying for
The
it
bowl.
all.
He wants to get,
Big bowl in this.
so he wants to get his last stamp job this year.
Yeah.
Excellent job.
He's
Yeah, and the Platt Monument, the work that's another project which is, free to the village. Amazing. But they started with, power cleaning it, but the rest of it won't be finished till next, summer. Let's see, they put up the one sign, in cemetery, the Friends of Owego Green has paid to put up a sign inside, Evergreen near the caretaker's cottage, that gives, you know, directions and points around the cemetery, and they're doing a similar sign that will be down near the chapel, but that won't be put up until, we've got the parking lot done. 'Cause it would get in the way. So anyway, they've paid for that, and all of the, stained glass windows in the chapel are finished. Sandy Rusek, who's the person that did the work, the 3 smaller windows in the upper part, she did not charge us for the work she did on it. I need to get the information to you, Mayor, but I would appreciate if, you know, you send a letter of thank you to, because I mean, she and her husband took out all the windows and put them all back, and, I mean, they've done a lot of work for free. And of course, you know, a year ago, we bought the Lexan to cover those windows. Those have been cut now, and, Peter Gordon's working on getting the, holes in it and that sort of stuff, so that gradually over the winter, those can be installed. Let's see, put down a lot of different notes there. Yeah, we heard that Mike Howe is out on disability. Shoulder surgery. Is Mike Howe out on disability?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate all the work he and the rest of the group done up there this summer. That's about all for now. Thank you.
Charles?
I have no report other than to ask Fred to please relate to the DPW crew our appreciation, the board's appreciation of everything they have done and what they are about to do. We slide from one season into the other. It's never ending.
It's not happening, Charles.
Well,
We'll be plowing soon.
Mike, that's a decree, we're not gonna have any snow.
I've seen them all over town doing their thing, and I don't think they hear enough how much they are appreciated.
Both sides. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're fantastic. You do too. Thank you.
And that's all I have to say about that.
We hope it stays 70 all winter.
I agree, 100%. I would love to see Tracy's legs also all winter. No doubt. I agree.
I think I saw a plant starting to grow the other day again.
The grass is green.
Hey, you line them up.
If I had my way, there ain't gonna be no trees and berms around here, I can tell you that.
All right,
It's
communications.
coming down. No, it's
Don't have
front
anything.
main. Trees on front main.
Mayor's report, I sent it around, we have council of government meeting, where we talked to Senator O'Mara. We had a land bank meeting, DRI meetings, paying the bills. Fire department had a member picnic, that was nice. Myself and Charles went. And then we had a town hall meeting here last week with Congressman Central Winsky. Pressed his name wrong. Huh?
We did.
Well, there was one here. I think maybe two people showed up.
Yeah, they set it up for you, so.
It was more facilitated. We opened the door for them. But anyway, that's all I got.
Sweet.
Les, Rusty.
Town of Owego budget hearing Wednesday. Anybody interested?
Election day tomorrow.
Yeah, everybody go.
Oh, I'm cool. We'll go there.
Our polling place, depending where you live within the village, is either the Methodist church, or if you're on the other side of the river, it is the town hall. Well, the new town building, so I don't think it's actually in the town hall building. It's in their garage.
What time is it open?
6 a.m., I think.
For every
6 a.m.
area that you're voting?
6 to 9.
Yeah.
6 to 9?
And your polling place is probably somewhere else.
Moose. I'm at the Moose. Might just have to stay there.
I don't think you'll have what you want 6 a.m.
It's fine.
The moose might though, you know.
I know him.
All right, public comment?
Dancing with Mr. D.
How would you, Mike?
Mike's still awake back there.
Man, slowly. When you fix the clock tower, you gotta fix Ferdinand, so she doesn't sound like she's still got COVID. Especially when the first one comes out good, but that second one,
Second and the third.
she was walking right near top there on that one.
It's real loud there tonight.
Yeah.
Explain to my customers what it is.
Especially when you're walking by the fire station and suddenly goes up.
That's just a pterodactyl that lives up there.
I've had a couple people ask me why we set off the flood warning all the time.
Just be prepared.
Anything, Mike?
Evacuate some phonies and all that stuff.
Vote to adjourn.
All right. See you guys next time.
On the flip side.
21st, yes.
Tell me when we're off.